Hey guys, this is Mark. In this video, I will demonstrate how to run searches in your user storage to search user records. And this would equally apply to using Backendless Console as well as the APIs. Since the user records are stored in the Backendless database, then the function of searching is the same as searching any other record in any other tables in the database. And we talk about it extensively in the database training course for Backendless. But I will demonstrate it anyway because in the context of users, this equally applies to the user management functions, and one of them is searching your records. So whenever you do it in Backendless Console, there is a search bar in the users table. In fact, there is the search bar in every other table, but here we're focusing on users. And in here, you would type in a query to locate the records that of interest and any record that matches that query would be displayed. The queries in Backendless are inspired by SQL, and specifically, if you are familiar with SQL, anything that goes into the where part of an SQL query becomes the actual search query in Backendless, and as a result, we call it where clause. Whenever the SQL search checkbox is checked, then this query will need to be in the where clause format. And to read about the where clause format that Backendless supports, if you go to our documentation and then expand the database API, and then you go into the advanced object retrieval, in here you'll see a section that is called search with the where clause. And this talks about all kinds of different things that you can do with the where clause. Back in Backendless Console, let me demonstrate just the basic principle of how it works. And the basic principle is you reference a column name, and then you provide a condition that that column name needs to match. So for instance, if we want to find all the users that have marvel.com in their email address, it will go like this. So you say email like, and you put quotes because the email column is a string value, and you put the %, and then say marvel.com. You close the quote, and then any record where the email address has marvel.com at the end will be found. So this % character means that it will match anything going before the @ sign. If you want to find all the user records, let's say if you put just the @ sign and then % before and after, it will match every single user record, just because every single email address has this @ sign. You can combine multiple properties, multiple column names in the same query. So for instance, if we want to find all the users that have the marvel.com email address and the ones that are enabled, so you can say and user status equals enabled. And in this case, it finds everyone that has marvel.com and the user status is enabled. And if you change it to disabled, then it will search accordingly. Well, there is one record, and it's Dr. Octopus that is disabled, and it's marvel.com. You can get, the queries that you can type could get very complex depending on the kind of search that you are performing. For instance, you can actually reference the related column. So here we have powers, and let's say we want to find all the users that have a specific superpower. So whenever we reference a related column, so this powers references a table that is called superpower, and then in the superpower there is a column called name. So let's say if we want to find all the users that have a specific superpower, so in this case we say powers, which references this column, and then we put dot and then a column from the related table, and here let's say we want to find everyone that has endurance, so we put endurance. And here we are there are 3 user records that have endurance as the superpower. So to verify this, if we click, let's say, on Captain America and go to the relations for the Captain America, you see it is endurance exactly as we expected. And that's the basic principle of running searches using Backendless Console. Whenever you come up with a query that works for you, that query can be used in your code or in the codeless logic, but the format of the query is going to be exactly the same. If you want to get closer to the actual API, there is a fantastic tool, and we talk about it, that also in the database training course. If you switch to REST console, in here you'll see an element or an input parameter that is called where, and this is where you can type in your queries. So going back to the Marvel example, let's use it with DC Comics. So email like dccomics.com, and then click get. This runs the API query with this particular where clause, and you get all the records that you get for the users matching this, and you can switch between JSON and the grid format. So these are the users that were identified with that where clause. It's a very simple mechanism, but very powerful, and I recommend studying the documentation just to see what kind of things are available. There is a lot in there. You can search for dates, Boolean values, relationships, pretty much anything. That's all I wanted to share with you, since it is simple, but it is extensive because of the kind of things that you can search for. I do hope you found this useful. Thank you for watching this video, and as always, happy backendless coding.